Hi guys, this is Sonia here with another Sci-Fi Adventures video. And I want to thank you for joining me. And for this video, I actually have my mom, Vicki Summers, here with me because I'm going to be sharing a movie review by Roger Ebert that he did way back. This was November 26th. 1986. And if you want to say hi, Mom, to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Mom.
Hi, Mom. Yep. Glad to have you here, Mom. Okay, and it happens to be a review, this review that I'm going to be sharing of one of my mom's and my favorite science fiction movies of all time, really, and that is Star Trek 4. And I don't know if you guys have seen it. You probably have, because I don't know, Mom, did that come out in 1984?
Well, that sounds about right, maybe. Sure.
I'm not sure.
No,
He
I don't
did.
know then.
Yeah, he did the review in 86, so I'm not really sure. But
Right. I
we're
don't
going.
know what year.
We don't know, but
I
we're
can
going.
look it up.
That's up to you. Yeah, that's up to you. But we're going back a ways. But anyhow, I'm hoping you guys have seen the movie. If not, we highly recommend it. And so I thought I'd go ahead and just share the review, and then afterwards, Mom and I'll just talk a little bit about it, and if we have some insights or comments, and then I think we're going to share maybe just a couple of our favorite scenes from the movie too. So basically, this is kind of like we're just hanging out in our living room here. It's really informal and impromptu, but we're really glad to have you guys with us, and we hope you'll enjoy this. So I'm going to go ahead though and start sharing the review, which, by the way, I think I think you'll agree, Mom, he did a good job on this review.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Star Trek 4, the Voyage home.
The Voyage home? Is that what you said?
Yeah, is a 1986 American science fiction film directed by Leonard Nimoy.
Yes. Leonard Nimoy, yes, just in case anybody wondered. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with the review of the movie by Roger Ebert. And here we go. When they finished writing the script for Star Trek 4, they must have had a lot of silly grins on their faces. This is easily the most absurd of the Star Trek stories, and yet, oddly enough, it is also the best, the funniest, and the most enjoyable in simple human terms. I'm relieved that nothing like restraint or common sense stood in their way. That's funny. The movie opens with some leftover business from the previous movie, including the Klingon ambassador's protests before the Federation Council. These scenes have very little to do with the rest of the movie, and yet they provide a certain reassurance, like James Bond's ritual flirtation with Miss Moneypenny, that the series remembers it has a history. The crew of the Starship Enterprise is still marooned on a faraway planet with the Klingon starship they commandeered in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. They vote to return home aboard the alien vessel, but on the way they encounter a strange deep space probe. Let's see. It is sending out signals in an unknown language, which, when deciphered, turns out to be the song of the humpback whale. It's at about this point that the script conferences must have really taken off. See if you can follow this. The Enterprise crew determines that the probe is zeroing in on Earth, and that if no humpback songs are picked up in response, the planet may well be destroyed. Therefore, the crew's mission becomes clear. Because humpback whales are extinct in the 23rd century, they must journey back through time to the 20th century, obtain some humpback whales, and return with them to the future, thus saving Earth. After they thought up this notion, I hope the writers lit up cigars. No matter how unlikely the story is, it supplies what is probably the best of the Star Trek movies so far, directed with calm professionalism by Leonard Nimoy. What happens is that the Enterprise crew land their Klingon starship in San Francisco's Golden Gate Park, surround it with an invisibility shield, and fan out through the Bay Area looking for humpback whales and a ready source of cheap nuclear power. What makes their search entertaining is that we already know the crew members so well. The cast's easy interaction is unique among movies because it hasn't been learned in a few weeks of rehearsal or shooting. This is the 20th anniversary of Star Trek, and most of these actors have been working together for most of their professional lives. These characters know one another. An example: Captain Kirk, William Shatner, and Mr. Spock, Nimoy, visit a SeaWorld type operation where 2 humpback whales are held in captivity. Catherine Hicks, as the marine biologist in charge, plans to release the whales, and the Enterprise crew need to learn her plan so they can recapture the whales and transport them into the future. Naturally, this requires the 2 men to ask Hicks out to dinner. She asks if they like Italian food, and Kirk and Spock do a delightful little verbal ballet based on the running gag that Spock, as a Vulcan, cannot tell a lie. Find another space opera in which verbal counterpoint creates humor. The plots of the previous Star Trek movies have centered around dramatic villains such as Khan, the dreaded genius played by Ricardo Montalban in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. This time the villains are faceless, the international hunters who continue to pursue and massacre whales despite clear indications they will drive these noble mammals from the earth. To hunt a race to extinction is not logical, Spock calmly observes. But we see shocking footage of whalers doing just that. Instead of providing a single human villain as counterpoint, Star Trek IV provides a heroine in Hicks. She obviously is moved by the plight of the whales, and although at first she understandably doubts Kirk's story that he comes from the 23rd century, eventually she enlists in the cause and even insists on returning to the future with them. Because, of course, without humpback whales, the 23rd century also lacks humpback whale experts. There are some major action sequences in the movie, but they aren't the high points. The Star Trek saga has always depended more on human interaction and thoughtful, cause-oriented plots. What happens in San Francisco is much more interesting than what happens in outer space. And this movie, which might seem to have an unlikely and ungainly plot, is actually the most elegant and satisfying Star Trek film so far. Okay, guys, that does end the review. And I just wanted to say, right away, a couple of my impressions, and then, Mom, if you have anything. And then, of course, we'll share some scenes.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. So right away, my impression was that I agree with Roger Ebert, where he's talking about, the movie satisfying, because there's something about this movie that I really believe does satisfy, and that it is elegant, because of all the long-standing relationships of the actors in the movie, which I think is because they all know each other so well on and off screen, and it just really comes forth and in the chemistry. And then the other thing is the funny interaction between the characters that I think just makes this movie one of the most fun of the Star Trek, movies to watch. And it's fun to see them out of sorts and out of place in San Francisco. There they are, in the 20th century, and I guess they're trying to find nuclear power or whatever. And so they're really out, they're off their game. which I thought was really fun. So I don't know if you had any initial impressions, Mom. I mean, we'll share some scenes too, but
Yeah, well, nothing. I mean, I loved the movie.
Yeah,
For
me
all
too.
the reasons that I just heard you read.
yeah, Roger said it really well.
Yeah, he did.
He said it. He really captured it. Yeah. So I think, you know, this one just stands out. Really, and it isn't that the other Star Trek movies aren't awesome. They are. I
Yeah.
thought the Wrath of Khan, they mentioned that one,
Yeah, that one was good.
was really good. Yeah, because Ricardo Montalban,
Oh yeah, he made it good.
he made that movie. Yeah, I don't know.
It's just maybe the plot was really exciting. I had loved all the Star Trek series things when they came back to Earth.
Oh yeah, when they do time travel.
I mean, there
Me
was the one
too.
where
Me too.
the woman was killed at the end.
That was sad. I
Yeah,
know the one.
that one.
Was that called? Oh man, I don't remember. Something about forever.
Yeah, I forget.
Journey to Forever. And you guys probably know this. I'm getting it wrong, but it had wasn't that Joan Collins in that one?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That was in the Star Trek series, not a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
It was not a movie.
That
But there
was-
were several that they gave back to our time,
Yeah.
and that was one that I really liked.
Which you're talking about, you know, it's just something about time travel, and I think that's a good point, Mom, because I think that's another element that made this Star Trek movie just so compelling.
Right.
Because there's something about going back in time. I
Yeah,
think it's, you know, yeah. It just captures us.
It does.
I know. It's such a mind-blowing, sort of exciting concept.
Right.
And then you put the characters in just a different setting that's familiar to us but unfamiliar to them.
Right.
Yeah, that's it too. I mean, I think that creates that's a writer's dream right there,
Yeah, right. It is.
if you think about it. Yeah, because that's, you know, in time tracks, I mean, I'm going to actually be exploring more parallel universes, but still, it's the idea that time is, you know, it's possible to travel through time
Right.
as well as travel to other universes, which is all really awesomely mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah. Very
Totally.
yes.
So let's see, where are we now, Mom? Oh yeah, we were going to share some scenes
Yeah.
from the movie.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say, yeah, one of my favorite ones, and I mentioned this to you before, Mom, was when, let's see, Kirk was trying to be cool with the main character lady, Catherine Hicks, because I think he kind of liked her,
Yeah,
didn't he? You get that idea, right?
Definitely.
And Spock was not making the best impression. I think he had on that white, he put him in a
Right.
white thing, and he had the white headband around his head.
Yeah.
You know, he looked kind of groovy, but
Yeah.
kind of very silly, I suppose, for 1980. I think it was supposed to be 1984.
Yeah, silly.
And so Kirk says to her, "Don't mind my friend here," meaning Spock, because he's so strange, because he
Right.
did too much LDS
Right.
in the 60s. Yes, that was great. I thought that was super funny. And then, as I mentioned before, it's hard to pick favorite scenes, but the other one I loved is when she, you know, she was out in the park banging on the outside of the
Yeah.
looking for Kirk, because the whales, I guess, oh yeah, they were going to do something, put the whales.
Yeah, they were going to let him go, which in her mind that was
They
were
wouldn't
gonna
make
die.
it out in the
No, they
out in the wild, because they'd been taken care of in
Right.
captivity. So she was desperate. Yeah, and so she goes there, and she's banging on the outside of the and then he lets her in. And the part I was saying that I loved about that is she really was like, I think he said "Welcome to Oz" or something, but I think that really captured the wonder and excitement that I think we would all feel if the most amazing out of this world thing happened, you know, and it was really true. Like, it was too good, like I said before, too good to be true.
Yeah.
And it really was true. How wonderful. So those are my scenes that come to mind. How about yours, Mom? Like some favorites?
Oh,
You
yeah.
named a couple before, and they were
Yeah,
great.
that one in the bus when the guy was playing the radio really loud and annoying everybody on the bus.
Yeah.
And Spock reaches over and gives him that
The
hold on
Vulcan,
neck thing.
the Vulcan neck
Vulcan.
pinch. Is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy shuts up and everybody's happy as can be.
Yeah, he was playing music, right? He was playing music really
Yeah,
loud.
on his
boombox.
Boombox, yeah.
And they said, "Could you please turn that down?" And I believe he used an unfriendly hand gesture symbol, which we won't
Yeah.
mention here. And, you know,
Right.
and maybe an expletive in there as
Right.
well.
Yes.
And then, yeah, he did the old Vulcan
Yeah.
neck pinch, and then everybody in the bus cheered
Yeah. That
joyfully.
was a great scene.
Gosh, that was a good one, Mom.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned another.
Oh yeah, the one where Scotty is trying to get the right glass
Beams or whatever.
enclosure
Yeah.
for the whales, and he sits down at the computer and says, "Computer."
Computer.
Yeah.
Right? And he's waiting. He's waiting. Computer.
Yeah.
Computer. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Sir, you have to type.
use your keyboard.
You have to." And they says, "How quaint." Didn't he?
Yeah.
How
something
quaint.
Like that. Yeah.
Awesome
I
ones,
love
Mom.
that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That
this
was a good
movie
one.
was just kind of full of fun moments
Yeah, there
like
were.
that.
There were many.
There were.
I have to see the movie to.
Yeah,
like
yeah. And for those of you who haven't seen it, of course, we highly recommend it because we loved it.
See the movie again. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all good. But that one, it's lighthearted and fun. And it is kind of silly. As Roger Ebert was saying, it's kind of silly, but it's good silly.
Oh yeah, good silly.
Really good. And I don't know, before, I guess that's it, unless we get any more to think about or that we might want to share about the movie. I don't know. Any more
Probably
scenes?
good.
Okay, but before I wrap up the video, I kind of, just in case you guys, anybody listening, might not know who Roger Ebert was, you know, I don't know, but we're going way back here, you know, we're going back to, like I said, 1986, but he was a film critic with the Chicago Sun-Times from 1967 until he passed away in 2013.
There were
Right.
two. He was one of the people.
Yeah, Ebert
TV.
and it was
Yeah.
Ebert and someone else, but you know what? I can't remember who the other guy was.
I can't either, but
They were really good.
yeah, they were. They
That was a
reviewed
great show.
movies on a regular basis.
Yeah, I know, and I always enjoyed their show. I don't always like listening to
Yeah,
movie
me too.
critics,
Yeah.
but they were really good.
Yeah.
And like I said, they were never mean spirited, and they were just they did a really nice job. Yeah, I really enjoyed them, but at least Roger Ebert. So he was at the Chicago Sun-Times from 1967. Then he passed away in 2013, and in 1975 he won the Pulitzer Prize for distinguished criticism. So I did just want to kind of mention that and honor his memory. Yeah, because I miss his show. We're going way back, though. There might a lot of you listening. I don't know if you've even, because we're going way back, 80s. That's back there now, isn't it? But the 80s for me, that's when I was, you know, growing up. So
Right.
I remember it really vividly. A lot of good things about that era, including Star Trek 4.
Yeah, Star Trek.
Woo! Okay, well,
Another
yeah.
one to bring up that was really a fantastic movie around that time was Back to the Future.
Oh, that's a whole other one we need to do.
Yeah,
Mom.
we need to do that.
We should do another one of these and talk about Back to the
Yeah,
Future.
that was a milestone.
That was a milestone movie.
Definitely.
Yes, and we digress a little, but I'm sure, I'm almost certain everybody's seen that one. Wouldn't you think, Mom? Probably.
Yeah.
There's probably no one that hasn't heard of that movie.
Right.
And you're right, it was groundbreaking.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And it had those, come to think of
Same
it,
theme,
kind of did. Well, yeah, they went back, but it had that same thing where what really carried the movie was the characters
Oh, yeah.
and the humor.
Great.
When you say the characters and the humor,
What was his
humor.
name?
Lloyd Bridges, right? Is that it?
No. No. The old guy that was.
Yeah, I thought his name's not Bridges. I got the wrong name. Oh, you might want to look it up then.
Okay.
We're going to take a moment before we wrap it up here. Now we have to know who played he was like the professor, or he was the scientist.
Yeah.
Lloyd something. I don't know why I'm thinking Bridges. But of course we all know Michael J. Fox. I mean, everybody knows Michael J. Fox.
He was quite a star.
Quite the star.
Yeah, he was great.
Quite the star. And he made that movie. And I do know they had another actor initially cast in Michael J. Fox's role in that movie. And it didn't work out. He wasn't working. Christopher Lloyd.
Fantastic guy.
So good.
Yeah.
And he started in Taxi,
Yes, he did.
the series Taxi.
And he was a really, really funny person.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
I know.
And he was hilarious in Taxi.
Yeah.
So you guys, we're going way back, but these are things we love that. I love the Taxi series.
Yeah.
But you're right, Mom. Back to the Future is another one where you're going back and you've got these really strong developed characters and relationships, and they just work.
Yep.
They are good. So here I am trying to write my time track story, and boy, it's quite the ambitious task.
Those are good examples of how good they are, though. How good they can be.
Absolutely. Yeah, and how timeless the characters can be,
Right.
you know. Because here we are, that was the 80s also, right? Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Timeless. That's a timeless film. I think, was it also 1984?
Trying to find the year.
She's looking for the year of that one. Yeah, I'm thinking it was 84. And maybe...
1985.
Oh, 1985, Back to the Future. And can you check the year for Star Trek 4, Mom, before we close out and just give them that?
1986.
What?
1986.
Oh.
That's what I said right at the beginning.
So it was 1980. I didn't remember.
1980.
Okay, so Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, 1986.
Right.
Awesome. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. This was really kind of fun. And thank you, Mom, for being here.
It
Thank
makes me
you.
think that things two were connected somehow. 1980.
The two movies?
It's pretty close together.
Yeah, they kind of are. Well, maybe that, I don't know.
Maybe
It was
they were being
a hot
inspired
topic,
by
a hot theme.
same people. Or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think we're going to do another one of these, guys. I think that's what we decided. And we'll take a look at maybe a little more in-depth look at Back to the Future, and maybe find a review, or I'll find something on it, I hope,
Yeah, we should do that.
or a commentary. I do like to do that. As you guys, if you've been listening to this channel at all, I like to explore stuff, and obviously I'm really intrigued by science fiction, especially time travel, and I know Mom is too,
Yep,
that whole concept. So plan to do more of these. So we will work on a Back to the Future, a look at Back to the Future next time. But I think I'm going to go ahead, if we're good, Mom, and wrap this one up.
Sure.
All right, you guys. I do hope you all enjoyed hanging out with Mom and me. And again, we thank you for joining us. And if you did enjoy the video, Please be sure to like and subscribe so that you can stay in the loop and be notified about more upcoming sci-fi adventures videos. And until then, I hope you guys keep exploring. I know I'm going to do that. And take care. And I do look forward to being back with you again soon with more sci-fi adventures.